The gunshot echoed through the quiet street, a sound so sharp it seemed to tear the world apart. Marcus Tate, a decorated black army officer, fell to his knees, clutching his side as blood seeped through his uniform. The crowd gasped, frozen, as Officer Daniel Hargrove stood over him, pistol still raised, his face a mask of cold certainty. It was a routine traffic stop. Marcus's taillight was out but in 3 minutes. It became a tragedy that would shake the town of Millwood to its core. Marcus had served 2 tours in Afghanistan, faced enemy fire, and carried wounded comrades to safety. At 34, he was a hometown hero, back in Millwood to care for his aging mother. He wasn't speeding, wasn't armed, wasn't a threat. Yet Hargrove, a cop with a history of instinctive stops targeting black drivers, saw something else in Marcus, a challenge to his authority. "Step out of the car, boy," Hargrove had barked, his voice dripping with contempt. Marcus complied, hands raised, his voice calm but firm. "I'm a captain in the U.S. Army, sir. I'm reaching for my ID." The words didn't matter. Hargrove's fear or hatred saw only a black man, not a soldier, not a son. The trigger pulled itself, or so Hargrove would later claim. The bullet tore through Marcus's ribs, missing his heart by inches. As he lay on the asphalt, the crowd's murmurs grew into shouts. Cell phone cameras captured every second, the footage spreading like wildfire across social media. By morning, Millwood was a tinderbox. Protests erupted outside the courthouse, signs reading "Justice for Marcus" and "End Police Brutality" waving in the humid July air. Hargrove was suspended, pending investigation, but the town's history of sweeping such cases under the rug fueled distrust. Marcus, fighting for his life in the ICU, became a symbol of a wound far older than his own. 3 days later, the courthouse was packed. Reporters, activists, and families black and white filled the pews, their eyes fixed on Judge Evelyn Carter, a woman known for her no-nonsense rulings. Marcus's mother, Ruth, sat in the front row, her hands trembling as she clutched a photo of her son in uniform. Hargrove, in a crisp suit, showed no remorse, his lawyer spinning a tale of self-defense despite the video evidence. The air was thick with anticipation, every breath a prayer or a curse. Judge Carter's gavel fell, silencing the room. "This court has seen the footage," she began, her voice steady but heavy with emotion. "We've heard the testimonies, the excuses, the lies. Officer Hargrove, you acted not out of fear but out of prejudice. Your actions were not a mistake, they were a choice." Gasps rippled through the crowd. "This court finds you guilty of attempted murder with a hate crime enhancement." The room erupted. Ruth sobbed, her tears a mix of relief and grief. Hargrove's face drained of color as bailiffs cuffed him. The sentence, 20 years, no parole. A bombshell, unprecedented in Millwood's history. But the verdict was only the beginning. Outside, the crowd chanted Marcus's name, their voices a mix of triumph and pain. The ruling didn't erase the bullet in his side or the scars it left on a community. It didn't undo the decades of distrust between Millwood's black residents and its police. Yet it was a spark, a signal that justice, however delayed, could still be fought for. Marcus, still in recovery, heard the news from his hospital bed. He didn't smile. "It's a start," he whispered to his mother, "but we've got miles to go." The days that followed were chaotic. Some celebrated the verdict as a turning point. Others, like Hargrove's supporters, called it a betrayal of law enforcement. Protests continued, now joined by calls for systemic change, better training, accountability, an end to racial profiling. Ruth became an advocate, speaking at rallies with Marcus's photo held high. "My son fought for this country," she said, her voice breaking. "He shouldn't have to fight to be seen as human in his own hometown." Marcus survived, but the bullet left him with a limp and a new mission. He began working with local youth, teaching them resilience, pride, and the power of their voices. The town started to change, slowly. Community forums replaced some of the protests, where black and white residents sat together, uneasy but talking. Hargrove's conviction forced Millwood to face its reflection, to ask what it meant to be a community divided by fear and history. The story of Marcus Tate wasn't just about a cop and a soldier. It was about a nation wrestling with its soul, about the courage to confront truth, and about the slow, painful work of healing. The wooden signpost outside the courthouse, scrawled with "Justice" or "Just U.S.," stood as a reminder. Progress comes not from silence, but from the bravery to demand better. Marcus, limping but unbowed, carried that truth forward, one step at a time. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.